Welcome back to Coast Broker Buzz with Jen and Holly. When you're purchasing a business, one of the questions a seller has is, how is the buyer going to fund my business? So, as a business broker, we really need to think about this and know the different types of options there are available. So, we're going to start discussing what those options are.
Yeah, Jen, exactly. I mean, that is important because it's going to help us to figure out what strategies to use when we're working with the different methods that they're going to be employing. For instance, our first one's going to be, are they going to be using their own personal funds or savings? Right. And what is that? That's them using their own savings account or liquid assets to buy the business. What are the benefits? Well, the benefit would be they would have full ownership without debt. There's no interest payments and there's no dilution of control. However, there's consideration as a buyer, there's going to be high risk in involving using a significant portion of their savings and potentially impacting their own personal financial security.
Yes, those are all important factors, Holly, to consider. I recently had a deal that closed, and the buyer was originally going to go through the SBA, Small Business Administration, to fund the business. But one of the reasons why he decided not to was just because of all the constraints involved. Because if you get an SBA loan, they do put a hold on any of your houses you have. They look at all of your liquid assets, and there's just some of those things that some buyers just don't want. So they just felt he was a very strong buyer and he has all of the funds available. He just felt it was easier to fund the business himself. And we're not just talking about a small amount, we're talking about over 1.5 million of funds available. But what does that entail then? Like, that makes your due diligence process obviously more in detail. So you're really going to dig deep into the business. You're going to work with the seller and the buyer to make sure that they're 100% comfortable. And another thing that we can talk about a little later is that if you are looking at a cash deal using your own funds, you're most likely going to see a seller note involved.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, Jen. That's good to highlight that. I guess what I wanted to also add to that is the benefit to the seller. I guess the benefit for a buyer using their own personal funds and asset would be it'll be a quick close.
Yes,
So that
it could be a quick close because you're not
yeah,
going through all of the bank details and their closing checklist. There's of course going to be another closing checklist, but exactly, like, we don't need to deal with another third party. So that really helps. But yes, use your own funds. And then next week, we're going to highlight seller financing and the benefits of that. So stay tuned to Coast Broker Buzz.